All right. Hello again, everyone. Michael here with Felicity. November 8033 Foxtrot, a Cessna flight training device that I built at home. And with me today, I do have a special guest, Alex List, the co founder and developer of Fly Shirley, our AI co pilot for X Plane and soon to be Microsoft Flight Simulator. Um, Focus for today, we're just going to kind of do a little bit more testing with Shirley, do some flying, and Alex is going to kind of take a minute and talk to you about some of the newer things that Shirley is capable of with some of these newer versions that they've come out with. So I've got him on my other screen. I'm going to go ahead and share that screen with you guys, and then we'll just have Alex chat for a couple minutes. So, how are you doing today, Alex?
All right. Doing quite well, Michael. It's good to see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. So, why don't you do us a favor, and just
Great.
before we talk about Shirley, let's go ahead and get a little bit background about you. I hear you worked for um, and now at Beta Technologies. We're a project manager there at Beta
That's right.
Technologies for a while, and you went to MIT, right?
Yeah, that's correct as well.
That
I studied aerospace engineering and computer science there.
so excellent. What gave you the idea of Shirley? How did Shirley come to be?
Well, you see, it was actually kind of a bit of a sad story. Um, what happened was my friend had a accident in his cozy and passed away, and I wanted to build something that could have some meaningful impact on aviation safety. And I left my job, which at the time I was working for an aviation autonomy company, running the flight sim team there, great company. And I started to see if there's any sort of way I could impact safety. The way it began was by flying with the first version of Shirley in a small airplane. I fly a DA-40-2, and just be talking to Shirley while in the DA-42. But you see, you can't have something that's potentially making things up or might not be 100% reliable or needing internet connection while you're flying in an actual airplane. And so, you know, I'm fortunate to be friends with Austin Meyer from my time up at Beta Technologies. Austin helped get Beta off the ground with some early aerodynamic studies and some early vehicle development work actually using X-Plane. And as a result, I had the opportunity to befriend him as he would visit quite often up in North Hanger at Beta Technologies. And he said, why don't you launch our flight simulators first? You're not going to have the issues related to the hallucination or the issues with the internet connectivity, and you won't have the noise rejection issues. And you can use it as a starting off point. And hey, why don't you come with us to Flight Simulator Expo? And so with that pretty fantastic opportunity, of course, I took it up, and at Flight Simulator Expo, we launched the very first version of Shirley that folks could download and try, and we've been off to the races since then.
That's
So that's probably the first part of the story to share.
well. First, you have my condolences about your friend. Anytime that we lose someone, especially doing something that we love, that's that makes it all the more difficult. So, you have my condolences about that, and but I've experienced some tragic loss as well. My first CFI actually passed away in a plane crash, and I questioned it for a long time. Is this something that I want to continue to do if this possibility is there? But I did, and I'm glad that I did. I'm a very baby private pilot. I got my certificate in July of 2023. Um, 1 week after I got back from Flight Sim Expo 2023. So I was already hyped up, just coming home from Expo, and then now I have my check ride. So that turned out really good. So excellent. Well, I want to thank you for taking a little bit of time to share that aspect and the reasons why you're wanting you put so much uh, effort into this new technology, and I think that's absolutely great. And the couple of times that I've used Shirley, I still think this is really going to change the way that people will use a flight simulator, because they have they can have a goal or a scenario, something more than just okay, let's compare, the airflow over the airfoils, and just see how this plane flies. Now not only can we see how the plane flies, but we can actually, do that with, quote unquote, somebody else. So I do think that's really great. So we're actually going to use Shirley today, and we're in Idaho, and we're just gonna bring her along as kind of a passenger and co-pilot, and I'm just gonna kind of listen to you, and you can kind of tell me to, ask Shirley to do certain things, or, because I'm sure that you're more familiar with some of the
Absolutely.
commands and some of the, phraseology that, Shirley knows more so than I would. Um, so you know
Right.
if I think that she's doing something weird, you can tell me, well, tell her to do this, and then we'll see how you know she or he responds to that sort of thing. So um
Depending on who you choose today. So
yeah.
the aspect that I'd actually like you to be able to try today is a new set of features that we're working on. These are entirely experimental, and I believe we've been working on a way to show the Shirley monitor from within the cockpit, potentially via Windows Remote Desktop. I'll be interested to hear how that sort of setup went. But the idea is now there are a few different sliders. We're working on ways to make Shirley more interactive for particular use cases. And in particular, we noticed in many streams where folks are trying to do things with Shirley and they wanted Shirley to be an assistant, but Shirley was acting more like a co pilot, sort of speaking almost every time you might actually say something. And so, one of the things that, we can try today is the new kind of staging environment for Shirley, and um, we might be able to see you're tuning those particular parameters related to two things. One, we've got this new sort of assistant mode. I'm calling it Shirley mode within the sort of alpha version, and the Shirley mode has an option for related to how many seconds you want after the last thing that's said before Shirley responds again, before Shirley requires Shirley to hear his or her name again before replying. And so basically, there's a assistant mode. We call it Shirley mode. Shirley needs to hear their name. That's basically the main difference. There's also a sort of a chill mode, which so far folks haven't been using too much in sort of the demos that I've done like this. And in the chill mode, I'm getting some folks here in the chat room. I download Sim. Uh, but in the chill mode, folks don't actually get a response from Shirley until a certain number of seconds after they finish speaking. And so there's these two different sliders, and looking forward to having you try these things out with me today, and just getting some feedback on how you feel this flow could work. Again, again, it's really new. It's really pretty glitchy, but it's worth trying, and it's something that I'm really just hoping to get your feedback on, to be able to try things out. You know, I think we've got with the way things are set up right now, we've got a few second delay, but I think we can figure it out and be able to show. Absolutely, welcome to the channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things are going as you try those things out. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, absolutely. Now before we get started, speaking of audio, are you listening to my audio via the Twitch chat stream, or are you listening to it on Discord?
Yeah, so I have a nice echo of myself, and the Discord version of the audio from your audio is actually muted, so I'm just hearing you speak from the Twitch stream. So I've got a few seconds, and I've got an echo of myself as a result, which is a little bit hard to deal with, but I'm surviving.
Okay. So yeah, there will be a bit of a delay there, but we can certainly circumvent that. Um, okay, so these sliders you were telling me about, will I find these on the Fly Shirley call page?
You'll find them on the invite only alpha testing particular version of Shirley, and so that's
Okay.
not going to be at the normal flyshirley.com.
Okay.
That's going to be at that link inside of the private beta. I can message it to you again.
I should have that here. It shouldn't be an issue. Um, tell you what, I'll have to do this on the master X-Plane computer, which is no big deal. And we'll go there, and then we'll go here. Okay, and there's the link that I need. Okay, logged in successfully. Okay, I can go ahead and start the call. Okay, so I do see these new sliders there under experimental features.
And the thing to know is that after you start the call, that panel stays there, but after you start the call, you need to move those sliders a little bit. So if we stop a call and restart a call, we'll have to move them a bit. This is, again, the total, for everybody new here, this is the total alpha version of this feature set that Michael's just trying out, and he figured he might as well make it a streamable event, which I agree with. So.
Okay, we have connected to X-Plane. It looks like the WebSocket is connected. And let's see. The delay for...
Michael, were you able to set up that tablet, or is that something that we're going to need to set up here before you hop in?
I downloaded the app to my tablet. I haven't actually set it up yet. I'm not sure how difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this then. Why don't you set Shirley mode to 5 seconds, and keep the chill mode at 0 seconds so that it's off. And I think that's going to be good enough for you to be able to try Shirley in assistant mode.
Okay,
And
so
I think specifically if you want to try doing like a vehicle startup, that could be like really a good place to be able to test it out.
okay, so we're in Shirley mode with 5 seconds, and then we have chill mode set to 0 or off. Okay. All right. I think we're at a point where we're going to head to the plane. which means I'm going to. I need to jump off of this Discord call and open it up on the master computer so that I can interact with you from inside the cockpit. So I will be right back with you, Alex, and
Sounds great.
we'll see you in the plane momentarily. Or hear you in the plane anyway. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Hello again, everyone. Welcome aboard, Felicity. Alex, can you hear me all right?
I hear you 10 out of 10 here, Michael. Appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So we're on the ground here at Johnson Creek. Let me go ahead and ask Shirley if she is with me. Hey, Shirley, are you here? Shirley, hello?
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering how the audio's routed here.
Let me double check. Looks like the call is still active. You know what? This web browser might need microphone permission. Give me just a second.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's a thank you to Downwind Sim, who's complimenting the audio quality. So while Michael's working on that, might as well explain a little bit about Shirley here being
So
a...
I think I might be running into a microphone conflict between Discord and the web browser. So, and I'm trying to figure out a way for me to circumvent this real quick.
You think maybe the audio is routing only to one or the other?
Let me just double check this here.
There is a drop down next to Shirley on the mute button where you can select it for your particular input device. Yeah.
All right, let me check that real quick.
Okay.
Microphone should be active now. Hello, Shirley. How are you today?
Shirley back in a Cessna Skyhawk. Shirley back in a Cessna Skyhawk 170 USP, ready to fly at 2230 Zulu. Want to start some training or just go exploring?
We're just gonna go exploring, Shirley. I'm pretty familiar with the aircraft.
Roger that. We're parked at Johnson Creek, Idaho, a gorgeous backcountry strip at about 5,000 feet. Where would you like to explore today?
We're gonna depart Johnson Creek, and we're just gonna kinda do the Idaho Potato and hit Big Creek and Soldier Bar, Bernard, Lower Loon, a couple others along the way.
Roger that. Sounds like a perfect backcountry adventure through the Idaho mountains. Let me set Big Creek as our first waypoint, since that's typically the first hop from Johnson Creek.
Well, you were right
Big
on.
Creek is set.
You're right on point with that
Check
information.
AOA.
Okay, Shirley, I'm gonna need you to be relaxed for a bit while I get through our startup checklist and things here.
And so this is the part where we'll see whether it got set up
Muted.
correctly.
Run your checklist, ED.
So we can...
All
You
right.
need me.
Well, that seemed to work out all right. He muted himself, said to run the checklist, and then let him know when we need him. So let's see how it works out. I'm going to skip over passenger safety briefing. Attack time 205. Alternate static airs off. Startup checklist. Seat track. Let's get scooted up here so we can reach the flight controls. Okay, that feels good. Avionics are off. Autopilot is off. Carb heat is off.
Check AOA.
Mixture's gonna go rich. Oh, I do need to hop out and start up the flight controls. That might help, or else we're not gonna go anywhere. Debating on making a batch file, so it'll just do it all.
Yeah.
Caution, too slow.
Part of the reason is
Caution, too slow.
when I go to write up my QAG to get this thing hopefully certified by the FAA, I want startup to be as simplistic as possible because I have to write a detailed set of instructions. And ideally, I would just like someone to be able to come in and push the power button and, you know,
Check AOA.
have it start up Windows and do everything kind of.
I know. I wonder how... I mean, you're just having so much fun working on this thing. You know, this is one of the things I was hoping to talk about today was, you know, what is the procedure for getting you're ATD certified. It's almost like you need to start a brand new ATD just to you can keep on tweaking and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, and then that's I'll be honest, that's been my kind of my limitation, is once I submit that QAG and if once it gets approved, it's approving that particular setup. If I change something, or replace something,
KOA.
that's going to avoid that LOA,
Caution,
and then I have to
too
go through
slow.
the whole procedure over again.
No, seriously, for sure.
So that's
But it's
yes.
but also there's the syndrome of the folks who end up building kit airplanes and I mean here you're getting to enjoy flying your airplane and you're enjoying building it. The kit airplane folks, a lot of those people are just in it for the build, and then they're on to another build almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah. It would be hard for me to part ways with this thing, just because of the amount of time invested and things like that.
What I'm suggesting is a second sim, Michael. More sims, the better.
Yeah. Trust me, I've definitely thought about that. Okay.
Wonderful.
Let's go ahead and get started up so our engine can start warming up here.
And I think at some point we'll want to do a check just to make sure that we set things up correctly with who. We'll probably want to make sure that the activation word and then the deactivation after 5 seconds works. So we could probably do that at any point you feel comfortable, just with the glitch being you have to move the slider after the call starts.
Okay. All right. Start up. Avionics car repeat mixture. Rich. Throttle slight. Prime. Let's get 3 on the engine primer. Okay, and then locked. And brakes are gonna go to on. Clear prop. We're clear left. Clear to the right. Clear front. Clear behind us. Master gonna go on. Beacon on. And mags are gonna go to start right away. I'm looking for oil pressure and RPM. Here we go. Alright, we do seem to have both. There's oil pressure. Let's give it a couple minutes for our temperature to come up here. I updated my video driver, so I need to reapply that. Every time I update my graphics driver, it changes a lot of the default audio, a lot of the audio specifications that I have set in various programs.
Yep.
It's kind of annoying. There are sound modulators that are, it gets its input from, from the front display, but after it updates the driver, it changes all of that stuff, and you just gotta kind of go in and redo it. Alright, well, temperature is coming up a little bit. There's no weather reporting station here at Johnson Creek, but field elevation is 4960. So let's get 4960 here. Looks to be right around 3035, which is on par with what it would have been lately in the, most of the area. Okay, startup is complete. Let's get taxi light on so that we can be seen. Everything else looks good. We'll grab the instructor station and fill up the fuel. Right now we're about 3/4. I really want to go ahead and have both wings fully fueled.
Figure this might be a good time to see if Shirley's around here.
Hey Shirley, how are you?
Shirley, back with you. I notice you've got a good warm start. and you're about ready to taxi at Johnson Creek. Would you like me to check the current weather at Big Creek before we head out?
You can try to get us some weather, sure, and that was great, Shirley. Did well.
Looks like Big Creek, U60. No weather reporting at these backcountry strips, but I see you're ready to taxi at Johnson Creek, heading 05. Big Creek is about 15 nautical miles on a 015 heading when you're ready to go.
Okay. Thanks, Shirley.
And then all we need to give it a
You're
few
welcome.
seconds. And
Let me
then
know when you're ready for your run-up
Shirley
or
should
need
be
anything
getting in
else.
automatically.
Alright, heading indicator to
Check AOA.
compass.
Caution, too slow.
Looking good. Lined up on the 085 runway at Johnson Creek. Big Creek will be about 70 degrees left of your nose after takeoff.
Alright, we're not lined up with the runway yet, Shirley. We're close. Avionics
My
on.
mistake.
Altimeter set.
You're right. I see you're still on the ramp at Johnson Creek. Take your time
Transponder.
getting to-
Set transponder to on.
I see you're starting to configure for taxi. Need anything from me while you complete your checks?
No, you can relax for a minute, Shirley. I'll let you know when I need you.
Muted?
That worked out pretty good, Alex.
Yeah, I did. I mean, this is kind of the idea of this system, even if the actual practice of how it's working right now is just through the mute system. So it's kind of fun to be able to see that it's working out as is, as intended, even though it's using a different system to do it.
Alright, so our altimeter's set. ADS-B is tied into our nav lights through our sky beacon on the wing there, so let's get that turned on. Taxi light is good. Brakes will test on the roll, as well as our attitude indicator and turn coordinator. We just set our heading indicator to compass. Alright, so we are ready to taxi to the threshold. I don't see a wind indicator. Okay, there it is right there. Winds are coming from the north. Relatively calm. So we'll go ahead and taxi to the south and turn around. Alright, Shirley, we're ready to taxi south, and we're going to depart Johnson Creek to the north.
Roger that. Taxiing south for a back taxi on runway 17, then departing runway 35. I'll keep an eye on that Big Creek waypoint for after departure.
Okay, at this point, auto mute should have re-enabled itself.
Alright, Shirley, we're going to go ahead and do a run-up, and then we'll go ahead and depart.
Roger, holding short of runway 35 for run-up. Let me know when you're ready to review departure considerations.
I will let you know as soon as our run-up is complete. Brakes are on, fuel's on both. Trim is set for takeoff. Flight controls check. Okay, mixture's in for best power. Primer's in and locked. 1600 RPM. Downwind sim, hello my friend. Sorry, I barely didn't say hello, but pleasure. Welcome on in. Hope you are doing well. We're using some of your airports for today as well. For those not familiar with Downwind Sim, check out his adventures at downwindsim.com. 1600 RPM. There's a left mag with a drop.
Check
Back to
AOA.
both. Right mag with a drop. Back to
Caution,
both.
too slow.
Carb heat. Okay, that's working. Suction's in the green. Oil pressure and oil temperature look good. We've got good fuel flow. Alright, let's go ahead and idle back. Hey Shirley, are there any takeoff considerations need to be aware of before we depart Johnson Creek?
Johnson Creek departure considerations. High density altitude ops at nearly 5,000 feet. MSL, climbing turn to the north will be needed after liftoff to avoid terrain. And Big Creek lies about 15 miles ahead on heading 015. Recommend using 10 degrees flaps for improved climb performance in these mountain conditions.
Okay, 10 degrees flaps it is. Okay, run-up checklist is complete, so here we go. Brian, hello, welcome on in, my friend. Hope things up in Canada are doing well for you. Johnson Creek traffic, November 8033 Foxtrot. We're departing to the north, straight out, Johnson Creek. Okay, brakes off, full power. Rudder. Alright, we're up, positive rate. The scenery is choppy, and some days it is, some days it isn't, and I have yet to determine why it is. At first I thought it was because I'm sim linking my ortho photos, but that's not the case, because actually the ortho photos are on the visual machine's hard drive. The master machine is what's rendering all this.
Honestly, quite hard to get butter smooth visuals and visual compression within X-Plane 12. I think they've made some improvements. However, the sort of chugging effect that you're seeing now is such a classic multiple, sort of networked sim, persistent aspect of life with X-Plane 12.
Okay, so it's not just me necessarily.
No, in fact, there's a certain amount of tuning that has to be done, either way. And yeah, I'll check back in with the sim team boys over back at Beta Technologies. But there's the sliders for CPU and for GPU, and I know that you're probably familiar with all those. But it is also the case that there's some level of perceived chugginess that you might experience whether or not you've backgrounded X-Plane at all since you launched it. Certain aspects like that do have a big effect as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's not something that I experienced until I went to master in XViz.
Yep. And sometimes there can be a little bit of network congestion or whatnot. But, yeah.
Alright. I'm gonna pause the sim. I'm gonna go increase the Discord audio just a bit, because I got kind of an engine and prop noise. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that, everyone. Here we go. Unpause. Alright, Shirley, can you tell me a little bit about the area that we're in?
We're climbing through the heart of Idaho's Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness, one of America's largest wilderness areas. Big Creek is now about 13 miles ahead, bearing 084 to your right. This route follows what local pilots call the Primitive Corridor, a chain of backcountry strips that served miners and homesteaders since the early 1900s.
The Primitive Corridor. Interesting. Thanks for that bit of information.
You're welcome. Big Creek's now 12 miles ahead, about 40 degrees to your left. Those early pilots really knew how to pick their strips. Each one strategically placed. You're making a good climb out. About 33 degrees left, of course, to Big Creek. Want me to share any details about Big Creek Strip as we get closer?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Big Creek's a 3,550-foot grass strip with a 2% uphill grade to the north. It's got an interesting quirk. You'll want to land uphill on 35 and take off downhill on 17, opposite of what you might expect for mountain strips. The strip follows Big Creek, which was a major gold mining area back in the day.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing. We have some low-level clouds we're contending with here. I want to say it's a second pass that we have to take. Nope, it's the first one. Hey Shirley, do you have altitude awareness?
Yes, I can see we're at 6,346 MSL, about 840 feet AGL. With these low clouds and mountain terrain, would you like me to keep an eye on terrain clearance as we navigate to Big Creek?
Oh, absolutely.
Roger that. I'll keep monitoring terrain and cloud clearance. Big Creek is now 10 miles ahead, just 4 degrees to your right. You're holding a good heading and altitude for this leg.
I'm way excited because TDS Simulations is bringing their GTN 650 and 750 XI over to X-Plane, along with Navigraph support. So what that means for people like me and other users of a 650 or 750, will now be able to have updated nav data to go with that particular unit via Navigraph.
Yeah, it's super sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Navigraph is the chart data, is that right?
Correct. Chart data and navigational data. A lot of your online multiplayer networks require up-to-date navigational data.
I see.
Yeah,
So this is one of those vendors that provide it specifically for Sims. I found some examples.
Correct.
I found, one of the things that we're looking to do with Shirley is to give an up-to-date sort of airport database. I was watching a video with Frank and, virtual aviation aviator, and he was flying out of 8 North Carolina, 8 NC8, and I know you gotta keep your head on a pivot here. Let me know if you need to be quiet, but one of the issues. Oh, look at that fog. What are you gonna do up here?
Hey Shirley, what do you think about this visibility up ahead?
I see we're at about 7,000 feet with some concerning visibility ahead. With Big Creek at 7 miles out, recommend we stay clear of those clouds and consider following the valley for better visual reference if conditions worsen. Your call, but remember, VFR into IMC is no joke, even in the backcountry.
Yeah.
And you see there's a bunch of red up on your...
Definitely marginal. Big Creek is 7 miles at your 2 o'clock position, but with these conditions, might be wise to follow the south fork of the Salmon River Valley for better visual references. Your call, we can also
you can
divert
fly
or hold
under
if needed.
the iPad directions on the synthetic visions.
That's a feature I haven't actually used yet. But,
Yeah, so you might want
this
to
isn't
pull
good.
up. It's getting pretty red.
Yeah, this isn't too good here.
Definitely start climbing and maintain that. Look at the attitude indicator and keep that climb. I think we might have made it by the strings on our shoes on this one. Here, Michael.
Well, yeah, possibly. Downwind Sim tried it last Monday with bad luck. I totally can understand that. We may be either clearing this weather or turning around. I can certainly see how one can
certainly see trees
one,
on the ground.
One can certainly lose situational awareness, and we're just gonna try and stay in the valley. And I've got my sort of location on the iPad here. Hey Shirley, I hate to break it to you, but we're in full-blown IMC conditions.
Acknowledged. You're an IMC at 8,076 MSL. Since you're IFR rated, recommend an immediate 180-degree turn to the right to heading 208. Maintain 8,000 feet. Johnson Creek is about 5 miles behind us if you want to return. Your call, but let's get out of these mountains and clouds.
Yeah, agreed.
You're in a 16-degree right bank now. Continue that turn to heading 208. Once established, I'll help vector you back to Johnson Creek. Just focus on those instruments and keep that turn going.
Heading 208, correct?
Affirmative. Continue your right turn to 208. You've got a good standard rate turn going at 30 degrees bank. Keep scanning those instruments. Airspeed looks good at 72 knots.
That looks already way better on the synthetic vision, doesn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You might need Shirley to set another waypoint or something.
Hey Shirley, why don't you give us a heading back to Johnston Creek. 3, Uniform 2.
Turn right to heading 265 for Johnson Creek. You're about 5 miles out. Maintain 8,000 feet till we're clear of clouds and terrain. Keep that scan going. Your instruments are looking good.
Right heading 265, acknowledged.
Looking good on heading 265.
Are you
You're
sure?
Right.
Are you sure about that, Shirley? Hang on.
Correction.
Yeah, correction. Alright, we got ground contact. Let's just ride it down into the valley here. Loady-do.
Roger, you've got good...
Yep. Hey, Shirley, I just need you to kind of be quiet for a moment, please.
Roger, staying quiet while you focus on flying.
Thank you.
I see you're descending through 7,000 to 900 feet, following the valley with ground contact now. Much better situation. I'll stay quiet unless you...
Glad you think it's a much better situation.
You've got good situational awareness now. Following the valley at 7,900 feet with clear ground contact, about 730 feet AGL. That was good decision making to descend and maintain visual reference with the terrain.
Uh-huh. How much visual do you want to get?
Check a caution. Too slow. Check AOA.
Come on. Come on. Open back up here. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this way. Okay.
As any real pilot knows, this is spooky stuff.
I can only imagine. It's not a live situation I've ever been in, even as a student or safety pilot or anything. I've never actually, you know, been in a small plane in any sort of full-blown IMC. So I can only imagine that it can be very spooky. Alright, looks like we're starting to clear up a little bit. Getting out of that low-level cloud there.
One of the tricks I've heard of the art of getting out of IMC has been to pick a point on the ground and circle for a couple hours until it gets better. You know, there's plenty of tricks, but here you are clearing out.
Yeah. One of a recommendation that was given to me, and this doesn't apply to all aircraft, but like single engine, fixed wings, just power to idle and full flaps, and eventually the plane will just kind of start to spiral slowly and kind of keep you in one spot. Yeah, and you're just kind of descending in a slow spiral. And
that was actually the trick for old Army aviators, the Army Air Force aviators, before they had any instruments or anything like that, is that they'd actually spin their aircraft through cloud layers down.
Yeah.
They just put it in a spin and spin out. I think the putting the flaps down and doing that these days is probably a little bit wild when you have an attitude indicator you could just look at, but
right.
you know,
But if you have partial instrument failure or full-blown panel failure, I can I'm sure it could definitely help out in that situation.
Yeah, the number one trick is just to use the turn coordinator, turn around,
Yeah.
come back once you came. That's gotten me out of a few pinches, honestly.
Alright, Shirley, how are we looking now? How far away are we from Johnson Creek?
You're about 6 miles southeast of Johnson Creek, currently heading 209. Conditions are improving, but still
You might
need
want to
caution.
ask whether it's set at waypoint.
Recommend continuing to follow this valley northwest Then we can make a left turn to intercept Johnson Creek's valley when visibility permits.
All right, we'll go ahead and set Johnson Creek as a waypoint.
Johnson Creek is now set. It's 4.8 miles at your 99 degrees right. When ready, a left turn to heading 285 will take us direct.
I'd rather do a right turn to heading 285. Okay. In that cloud, there's the valley all to my right here. If I had done a full weather briefing, I would have learned that these cloud layers are here.
Well, did you have weather available? I mean, you would have had to call ahead to a field or somebody living over there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There wasn't really much local weather to even look at. So Alex, I meant to tell you, I took Shirley over to Nepal, and we flew one of the world's most dangerous airports, Luka Airport. Runway.
That's Lukla, BNL.
Yep, Lukla, BNLK. That's right, Shirley. We did that the other day. 12%, grade runway. But
Yes.
Shirley did pretty well over there.
How did it go out?
Yes, Lukla. Quite a different challenge from our current Idaho backcountry situation. Speaking of which, Johnson Creek is now 4 miles at your 2 o'clock, and you've got a good heading for intercepting the valley. Much better visibility now than earlier.
The only thing I had to correct her on while we were at Lukla was the runway heading, but she knew what airport we were at, and knew that it was a challenging airport, and was able to, kind of guide us back after we flew away for a bit. So.
Yep.
Hey Shirley, remind me again the stall speed of my 172.
In a Cessna 170 USAP, your clean stall speed is about 50 knots. You're looking good at 84 knots, well above stall speed. Johnson Creek is now 4.9 miles at your 11 o'clock position. Would you like vectors for entering the pattern when we get closer?
Yes, please, give me vectors for pattern.
Turn right to heading 330 feet to enter a left downwind for runway 35 at Johnson Creek. You're at a good
Right, I'm
altitude
pretty
now,
sure that it's
about
not gonna work
7,000
right.
feet, which will work well for pattern entry. Valley's looking much clearer ahead.
We're still developing a brand new sort of module to make it work better, but right now I wouldn't trust it, just so you know.
Alright. Understood.
Especially around here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, if Shirley is able to guide someone through a pattern and, help someone, talk to a controller, and these are things that I've kind of done offline a little bit, more so acting as ATC. But I think that not only flight simmers, but real world, even student pilots, I see this being a massive benefit to a lot of student pilots that might have mic fright, coming in as a recommendation from their CFI, and I've already been recommending it, to several CFIs who have students who have mic fright.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
And
You're at 6,300.
Go
we're
ahead.
gonna give it just a minute while this ad rolls. Which one of these days I need to figure out a way to know when those ads are gonna start rolling. Because I hate when people miss something.
Yeah.
Johnson Creek is now 7.8 miles ahead, bearing 344. Continue this heading for now. When we're about 3 miles out, we'll set up for left downwind entry to runway 35. Weather's looking much better in the valley now.
Shirley, I think you might have lost our location while we're down in the valley. We're actually south of Johnson Creek, getting ready to turn north back to a final.
Ah, you're right. I see now. You're about 8.4 miles south of Johnson Creek at 6,300 feet. For runway 35, recommend turning right to heading 345 when ready. That'll line you up nicely for a straight-in final approach.
Alright, Shirley, well, you can go ahead and cancel those vectors for a pattern. I've got the airport in sight, and we're lined up nicely for a dogleg final approach, runway 35.
Roger,
And
looks good.
Michael, just
You're
for my
lined up
purpose, we should
nicely on a long
plan to
final
make
for
it a full
runway
stop.
35, about 8 miles
I
out
gotta
at
mosey onto some stuff here.
Okay. That's fine. Downwind Sim, welcome back. Flaps 10.
And down one, we'll let them land, and we can talk briefly about the capabilities here. And Michael, you do what you need to do. No need to force it. You gotta go around or whatever.
We'll be alright. Transition. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it.
Very nice.
So virtual fly rudder pedals do one thing that no other rudder pedals on the market do, and instead of using an axis, they actually use a pressure sensor, which makes
interesting.
Which makes the braking actuation feel, really, really accurate.
I bet. So it's not just about swinging across an axis. You really feel like you're pushing against.
Correct. So which is why I had to bolt. Which is why these seats are bolted to the frame, because previously I would, I'd have to require so much pressure that the seat would start to tip back.
That's the classic sim issue, that or sliding along the floor away from your computer, or having your pedals slide away.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna go park over here. We'll head back to the hangar, and chit chat for just a couple minutes, and then we'll let Alex get on. I know he has a lot of important things to do.
I'm itching to code the next runway and pattern features here.
Caution,
I was
too
just
slow.
coming back from a conference, and so the code this week was made way for by meeting lots of good people down in Orlando at the kind of the military sim conference, the ITSec. Met a lot of good people in training.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research on that conference, and that looks like pretty interesting stuff. Alright, I kind of expedited the shutdown. We'll head back to the hangar and chit-chat for just a couple minutes.
Awesome. Looking forward to hearing.
And then we'll say goodnight.
But downwind, yeah, we'll give you a quick little overview here. Hey, Michael.
Hello, let's see here. I want to do...
Also share audio on Discord too.
Yeah, let me see if I can figure that out.
Or do you think that would mess things up?
Let's see here.
It's just a matter of it being on mute currently. Maybe that would work.
Settings. Alright, do you have me there now?
Oh yeah, loud and clear. That's going to be perfect.
Alright, great.
That's super good, Michael. That allows me to be able to talk to you and not have to hear myself, my own voice going on. About 3 seconds later, I can speak longer than 3 seconds at a time now. Thank you.
Outstanding.
So I'm really curious what you thought, and downwind here also wanted to give us a brief highlight overview of what Shirley is. I could just mention briefly that it's designed to be a co-pilot, an assistant, and a trainer. It's a co-pilot insofar as you can fly with Shirley and have have a conversation about your flight, just sort of hang out and talk about flying. Shirley can see everything you're doing, and help you do things in the cockpit, set flaps. It's a lot more common for people who are flying in a sim that maybe is just a yoke or something like that. And then it's assistant. It can set up your sim. It can change the time of day. Pretty soon it'll be able to move you somewhere, and we'll be able to set triggers like, hey, at 800 feet, kill the engine type of deal. And then it's a trainer. We're really focused on providing quality type of training and challenges. We are about to announce a new kind of partnership that's going to bring a lot of really quality training content to Shirley customers directly through the website. When Shirley's given kind of a curriculum, then it does really well at teaching people about flight maneuvers and doing various sorts of practice. We have the ability to kind of analyze your landing, kind of view a chart for that. We're going to bring that to everybody so you can see how butter landings go. And that's a quick little overview. Right now it connects to X-Plane 12 without a plugin. It's just a WebSocket. You just hit connect, and it connects directly there. And we're about to release in probably early in January or so. We'll launch for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So that's a little bit of an overview, and I think Michael's been the best at just showing what Shirley is just kind of giving a practice, and I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts. Also on the new sort of assistant mode that you were able to try out today a little bit, get a little bit of the flavor for, if not the actual full experience.
Well, having used the previous version of Shirley and comparing it to what we experienced today, I think that it was a drastic improvement, especially during my checklist flow. previously she was very excited about confirming my checklist, and while that could be a nice feature, it was almost overwhelming as she was confirming. So going through the checklist today, she was relaxed and just, she muted herself and, just kind of stayed there until we called her back. So that I think is a great improvement. Um, and just in the last couple minutes that you were talking, I learned that she's able to do even more than what I thought. If she has the ability to set flaps and a thing, adjust the time and things like that, you know, most flight simmers don't have a setup like I do. So the ability for Shirley to actually not just be a co-pilot but also a cockpit assistant, I think is really going to be greatly beneficial and accepted by the masses. And I'm really excited to be involved this early in the stages, because down 4 or 5 years down the line, I can say, well, this is what Shirley used to do, and look at her now. And I think that that's really going to be something else, and like I said, revolutionize the way people use a home flight simulator.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that a lot, Michael, and all of your support here. Like Downwind is saying here, the VR users doing interactive menus, that's a big plus. And when I travel, sometimes I only have space for a mouse, and in that case, I'm asking Shirley, hey, on the Mac, what are my keyboard for increasing throttle? Because we're doing things that are switches, but letting you control. You're still flying the airplane. You still got roll, pitch, yaw, and throttle, and mixture if you have air condition lever. And a lot of times, I'm just saying, hey, I'm going to throttle up here with the keyboard shortcut you recommend, and then can you get the gear up? Can you get the lights? Can you get everything configured? Do time of day, and matters in VR as well. And I appreciate that sentiment, Michael, because our goal is really to work to bridge people from sim to sky. You're building an ATD because you want to be able to have something that you'll be able to take credit for your flying, and probably introduce a lot of other people to flying in your community. Of course, the people here on Twitch and on your Discord are getting to see a more realistic edge on what it means to be doing flight simming through your channel. And that's also really part and parcel of our mission, is to help people have on ramps from simming to flying. And with Shirley, we're trying to make flights safer, and so in our from what we learn here, and the contributions of users, our goal is to build tools that people will actually be able to fly with in the future as well, and potentially even also bring some of these aspects into the cockpit. And we're starting to make really kind of meaningful inroads into that I think are really exciting. People are going to find exciting. So I really appreciate your using it and being willing to show to users, and then also dealing with sort of the peculiarities of an early product, and especially of sort of these alpha features that you're trying today. So I definitely appreciate that.
Well, that's not a problem. I said I'm grateful to be a part of it, and alphas are things that are not unfamiliar with me. I mean, I'm an alpha tester for X-Plane, so I see a lot of we deal with a lot of these things and notice these things before and try to get these corrected, before it even gets to that beta phase. So really, I like to be on the cutting edge of things, like. So that's where, like I said, I'm really grateful to be a part of Shirley's alpha testing, and the hopefully the feedback that you get from me is worth your time as well. So
Absolutely.
So I do want to thank you very much for kind of taking the time out and continuing to guide me through the use of Shirley and some of the verbiage that she's akin to.
Right, and like I said, I like to join and watch your stream whenever you're showing something off because, especially as it relates to Shirley, because every time you're streaming something, I learn something that could be improved, and I like to go ahead and take that feedback. And every minute I watch of your interaction, today I actually really noticed how pretty streamlined that interaction was. I mean, it's not all the time when you really want Shirley to be like a real in-your-face co-pilot. And a lot of times you want Shirley just to kind of be an assistant and be there whenever you need. Thanks to Downwind Sim. Thanks for those good words as well. Um, and actually, I think what you'll notice is that Shirley can still have all the context of what you've said over the last few minutes or moments
Mm-hmm.
or throughout the entire flight, even if she's not replying immediately, or
Right.
Austin is replying right away.
Right, and it's neat to be able to kind of go back and see what she heard, and and I try to find discrepancies. Like I know I said this, but Shirley heard this, and when I come across those things, I'll be sure to let you know. And but you're right. You've taken those things that you saw and you've already implemented them. Like now Shirley can control comm and nav too. Previously, she had, well, I can only adjust COM 1. Well, you noticed that, and you went ahead and corrected that. So that's definitely moving in the right direction there. So, well, Alex, I know that you got some things to do and some commitments to keep, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to say thank you for coming into the channel and hanging out and flying and kind of giving me a little bit more information about you personally.
I appreciate that. I
So
appreciate that. We should do it again.
absolutely, absolutely, for sure. So, well, I will let you go, and then I'm going to kind of chit chat with the viewers, and then say goodbye to them, and we will definitely have to reconvene at some point in time in the future.
I totally agree.
So,
All right.
all right,
Thank you very much, folks. This has been a real pleasure.
all right.
Cool.
Have a
All right.
wonderful night. Bye, Alex.
Thanks. Bye bye.
All right. Well, I do want to say thank you to everyone who came in and hung out this evening. I really, really think that this is going to be a great product, and I can't say going to be. It already is great for what it is. I think it's only going to continue to improve. So, unfortunately, the weather has precluded us from doing much more flying over in Idaho today. But the focus was getting some of this testing done with Shirley, and kind of hearing about some of the future improvements that are going to come around. So, Downwind Sim says, grateful and thanks and excellent. So, yeah. I do want to say thank you for coming in and hanging out, Downwind Sim, and anybody else, Brian, that showed up. So probably going to cut this one a little bit short just due to the weather. But keep an eye on Shirley. I think she's really going to go some places. And, yeah. So until our next unscheduled flight, which we'll probably end up doing something tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what. I do hope you all take care and stay safe and take care of each other. I think that is very important. Let's see if we can go and continue supporting aviation and Twitch and see who we might be able to raid this evening. Tell you what, let's go and say hello to Mustafa. Mustafa is flying the VATSIM Epino in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So he's probably somewhere over in the Boston, New England, Maine area. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Take care, and we will see you next time. Thanks for coming in.